Hi, obviously I'm Diego, and for my final portfolio, I decided to choose the OKPLAC Incorporated versus the statewide virtual charter school board in Oklahoma as my open state court case. So my overarching question for this open court case is, should public charter schools have the option to teach one specific religion on their agendas? And you can even go more in depth in this by saying, should they be able to teach any religion on their agenda? So just for my table of contents, kind of what we're going to be going over is some background, including audience, plaintiff, defendant, a sister court case, which is Carson versus Macon, and just my 3 events, my prediction, and some artifacts and SLOs. So just some background and context for this court case is, basically we take a school by the name of St. Isidore of Sevilla Catholic Virtual School, which is part of the Oklahoma State-wide virtual charter school, and obviously located in Oklahoma, and has been a charter school for the past, for as long as it's been around. However, they're trying to become a so-called public school while still enforcing one religion across the school. So my audience for this court case is obviously the students who attend the school, the parents of the students in the school, taxpayers. Taxpayers are going to be a huge part of the audience, because should this school be labeled as a public school, their money is going to be going towards it, and we're going to get into the logistics of why that could be a major problem for them. Another big factor is teachers. Are they going to want to be working for something that's a so-called public school that is enforcing one religion? And so the plaintiff in my court case is going to be the OKPLAC Inc., or Oklahoma Parent Legislative Action Committee, which is also supported with groups of faith leaders, public school parents, and teachers. So that kind of makes up what OKPLAC is. And on top of these, we have 9 residents from Oklahoma who want to spark change and make sure this doesn't get approved. So basically, the plaintiff filed a lawsuit in July 2023, which we're going to get into, and taxpayers can also be seen as kind of on the same side as plaintiffs, since it's going to be their money going towards the school. And for the defendant, we have the St. Isidore School, obviously, as well as the some of the leaders who are involved on the virtual school board, and teachers and stuff who support it. The reason they're defendant and are kind of under hot water for this is mainly because there's a prediction that they're going to be discriminatory towards certain groups of people, as if they're going to be a public school and still follow one religion. So they're going to discriminate, groups, LGBTQ plus students, people who believe in a different religion, maybe even people of diversity, so of a diverse background, ethnicity. So if you are not under the Catholic faith, that may be a problem if you're going to attend this school. Obviously, if you see it as a public school, you wouldn't think it's an issue, but. So the sister case for this is Carson versus Macon, which took place in Maine. Basically, it was a Supreme Court case that basically said a school that is a specific kind of school or from a different sort of section, they're allowed to get public funds as long as they meet the requirements to receive those funds. So this is very similar to this case, because if this case were to take place in Maine, it'd basically be no issue, it'd be passed pretty easily. So my first event is the approval by the board, the virtual school board, which took place on June 5th of this year, during the summer. Basically just said, we feel that that our school, St. Isidore, should be able to receive public funding, which was almost $3 million, to serve, in the first year, 400 to 500 people, because it is virtual school, and now becoming a first year public school, to be serving 400 to 500 people. And the decision to allow this would have to be upheld by the school board. So they submitted an application to the school board, and the school board submitted it. The school board approved it, and that was voted 3-2 in favor of the Isidore Catholic School. So this obviously caused a huge, outlash and backlash within Oklahoma, Tulsa area, the major cities that have a lot of influence on the change in the rulings that happened throughout the state. So going on again, in support of the decision from the outside was the one of the superintendents of instruction, Ryan Walters, who said, I quote, "It is time to end atheism as the state-sponsored religion. Suing and targeting a Catholic virtual school is religious persecution because of one's faith." So here, this is the main counterpart to, kind of the plaintiff's argument of, no, we cannot have a so-called public school that enforces one religion. This is the main counter-argument to that, as he is vouching for religious freedom under the Constitution. Lastly, Walter's argument also can be seen as extremely biased, as he is essentially saying that there should only be one state-sponsored religion throughout schools, and it becomes somewhat contradictory, because if he's saying he's limiting freedoms by doing this, even though he just said under religious freedoms this would be able to pass. So doesn't really make too much sense there, because he's limiting the religious freedoms for everyone to believe what they want instead of focusing on one. And my second event took place on July 31st. As mentioned, legal action being taken begins with the first initial hearing. So my second event's the initial hearing and the lawsuit that was basically brought up. So as I said earlier, a lawsuit was filed by the plaintiff, which is this event. Basically, this quote is kind of saying the whole idea of a public charter school is to serve everybody, and promoting a religion at its core it could be seen as illegal. So basically, this person was obviously felt very, very angered by what is happening, which led me into saying, obviously there's going to be a lot of backlash to this agreement. Should taxpayers who are not in favor of the school or the religion or the style of the school, being a virtual so-called public school, whatever, how would they feel giving up their money, almost obviously a portion of that $3 million for the school to be regulated and go into practice? The school argues that the lawsuit avoids bringing up First Amendment rights dealing with the prohibition of government establishment of religion or free exercise. However, there could be one exception for this. If they were to make one exception and just for this school, then obviously, later on we might see more schools start to do this, which could be a huge problem. So that's one of the biggest factors of this. But yeah, so. And then my last event is a statement from the Attorney General, who's supporting the plaintiff in this case. The article comes from a local news source in Tulsa, which is a very prominent, which plays a very prominent role in this case. Basically, the Attorney General is just, fighting. He's saying, yeah, this is irate. This cannot happen. It's one of those. This is like a traditional kind of view, like we cannot have church and state kind of thing. And yeah, he's even saying it's violating our own religious liberty. So in contrast to the one guy who was saying we need one state-sponsored religion, he's obviously arguing against that, saying like if we had that, it's violating our own religious constitution. Here's the Attorney General during the statement, and it came out in late October, which the time frame can be very important in these events, because you look at it and you'd want to finish by the end of the year rather than wait till the summer, because then you're leading into almost the next school year, delaying more time and stuff like that. So his argument can be a very important deciding factor in all of this. So my prediction, although the Supreme Court will likely not be involved in this case, which was mentioned in a previous source that I brought up, it leans to the conservative side. The Supreme Court usually does, of the political binary system. But so Oklahoma is super red. I mean, one of the most red states. So to be honest, obviously, those who come from a conservative background and have those beliefs are going to want to avoid as much tax as possible. So rather than, if it was California or Illinois, New Mexico, excuse me, you might see a different outcome. However, both are probably going to agree that you can't really have this. This is just a traditional kind of school. So I believe that conservatives are already on the ropes with taxes. So having precious tax dollars go towards this kind of school is going to be very out of their line of view. And supporting wrong morals, this could be wrong morals for liberals or conservatives. It's just morally wrong. The only way that I could see the judge ruling in favor of the school is if there's no support for the religious freedom perspective that I brought up earlier by the superintendent of instruction. That's the only way I can really see this passing in Oklahoma. But either than that, I can't see a red state wanting to approve of a school that is focusing on one single religion while taking their tax dollars. I just can't see that happening. So into kind of other learning aspects, I've learned like how to navigate through these kinds of different court cases, what the outcome is going to be. Excuse me, and so I said similar to when I'm in the future taking classes in Eller, I'm going to have to be navigating through business language and statistics, which can be kind of the same, language as this, because law has its own language, similar to as business has its statistics and all these little factors. So the complex language and the external factors go hand in hand, obviously for different topics, but I think that navigating through these court cases will help me in the future in business. My first artifact was a conversation between sources. It just helped me get the audience and purpose down, kind of give a purpose to each source. My second artifact was the think tank tutoring, which I used for the second essay, which kind of helped me clean up my paper, cut down what I needed to, and add to the topic sentences and those kinds of small details. And then lastly, my third artifact was the rhetorical analysis workshop and discussion post that we had to do after, to kind of help revise and give feedback to others while I received feedback for mine as well. And I just really thought that was important for this portfolio, as well as some, for things that I can look at in the future for essays and projects. And then here's part of my works cited page. There's more in a second, and that's my final portfolio.